All right, let's get started. Any questions so far? No? We all good? Okay, let's have a quick review about the exam policies, okay? So our exam is this Tuesday, right? Right here in this room from 12. It's an hour and 20 minutes test, but some of you taken classes in your semesters. You know that if you can come early, all of you can come early, you can start using the time. Okay? So it's if all of you come 5 minutes or something early and settle down, the TA will start the exam early. So on that day, I'll not be here. There's a TA, he or she will come and talk about the exam for you, okay? And also, if you need some more time, maybe a couple of more minutes, you'll get it after the exam, after hour and 20 minutes. So there is no time game, no time rush. You have some 5 to 10 minutes before and after on top of this hour. Okay. Write your full name. Write the name in a way it appears on the Truman system. Okay. Close book, close notes, no cheat sheet, no format sheet. Before you start the exam, all of your stuff, keep aside. Maybe on this side or that side, should not do it either. Only 20 MCQs. And I believe we will definitely not need hour and 30. 20 MCQs, each worth 5 points, altogether 100. Only allowed to have pen, pencil, pencil, okay? Nothing else. So about scratching on the test, you can scratch on the test, it's fine. So basically on the test, the first page should look like this. After that, 3 or 4 pages will look like your problems, okay? So beside your problems, you can scratch, you can do whatever you want. That's completely fine. This is the only formula you may need for the test. You will get it end of the test, okay? And also, I have given this page for you if you want to scratch here. Final page will look like this. This is your answer sheet. If you want, you can take it out, write your name here, and then keep answering, let's say A, B, C, D, whichever you feel correct for each problem, okay? This is the page, make sure keep it clean and tidy. Don't do any scratch, anything on that. Because if you make it unreadable, that will cost you points, okay? If we don't know what you write here, cannot determine what is the correct answer for you, we'll take it out. This is the page, this is the only page you make sure neat, clean, and tidy. Everywhere else, you can do whatever you want. Make sense? And also write your name on top. You can take it out, fill that in, and when you're turning in after the test, start it, okay? Questions about the policy, like about time, what you can bring. Any questions about the exam policy? All good? It's pretty easy and straightforward. Any questions about review? Anything you want me to go over? Okay. So start from chapter 1. Okay. Oh. So from chapter 1, what we learned? We learned about the business operation of images, right? They have business exposure outside to their home country, right? Doing so will create agency problem. Now, what is the agency problem? We know that when we generate or create any corporations, that's a separate entity from the owners, right? If it's a separate entity from the owners, we have to recruit some managers to run the business. So if those managers do not work for the best interest of the stockholders, which means they are not maximizing shareholder value, there is an agency problem. How can MNCs reduce agency problems? These are some options: talent control, corporate control. There are some management structure they can follow, centralized versus decentralized. So basically, know the definition of agency problem, know how can MNCs reduce agency problem, and also learn the management structure that help MNCs to reduce agency problems. Make sense? Three theories that actually explain why MNCs engage in international deals. Theory of competitive advantage. That tells that some countries have more technical skills, some countries may have more labor, right? So due to that, one country needs to trade with other country to get the advantage of the other country. So this is theory of competitive advantage. Imperfect markets theory. So this tells that markets are not perfect. Even if some countries are technologically advanced, some countries are more labor, cheap labor, those resources are not transferable, right? From one country to another, right? To reduce this problem, MNCs go for international. Product cycle theory. This theory tells that any MNC, any corporations can establish in one country, and when they are able to satisfy, the demand for the whole country, and after that, if they become popular and they start serving foreign countries, they are doing international. This is called product cycle theory. Think about big auto manufacturing companies, Toyota. Started their business in Japan, right? Keep serving the demand of Japan. Now they're serving the demand of everywhere because of their reputation, right? Do you know that the current chairman of Toyota died yesterday? And he's the son of the guy who established the Toyota. He died yesterday. So this is an example of product cycle theory. So the idea is just know the basic definition and basic differences for these three concepts, three theories. One is trying to say different countries have different expertise. Second one is trying to say those resources are not transferable very easily. And third is trying to say if anyone established any company able to satisfy the local demand and now getting popular, getting more reputation, they go outside to sell their product, right? Product cycle theory. Know the definition, know the key differences. Now, how firms engage in international business? Maybe they're doing international trade, which is export and import. They are going for licensing, which do not require any trade investments. Maybe they're going for franchising. When they're going for franchising, they help to make strategy. They help to generate sales. Some country outside. They can go for joint venture. Joint venture means two different corporations trying to create a new corporation, right? They are putting their effort, putting their capital, putting their technology, creating a new corporations, joint venture. Acquisition of existing operations, establishment of new foreign subsidiaries. Just know the basic definitions and try to think about some examples, relevant examples. What could be some relevant examples? Let's say all those food chain companies, they have outlet globally, right? Those are franchising, right? Barnes and Noble, Starbucks, kind of joint venture, right? Try to think of some examples and basic differences, like how they're different, right? In the last class, I think we looked at Air India buying jets from Boeing and Airbus, right? International trade. Make sense? Look at the definitions, think out some basic examples. Think about the valuation model. In the very second class, I believe, we talked about the valuation model. What do you think about domestic companies? Maybe what else? They don't have any business outside. Yeah, can you remember any? What could be a good example? Let's say, I don't know, maybe IBM, just hypothetically assuming, IBM do not sell any chips outside of US. So if this is the reality, if they generate any cash flow here, we discount it by the rate of return. We got the present value here, right? And this is called the value of the firm today, right? But what if IBM has business outside of US? They have cash flow here, but at foreign currency, right? We have to use the exchange rate here, so that we get that cash flow at domestic currency. If we discount them back, we're going to get the present value. And this is the value of the MNCs who are doing business abroad. So long story short, this is the domestic model, and this is the model you need. What is the difference? For the domestic model, we get the expected cash flow in domestic currency and discounting that to today, right? Very simple time of money maths. For the multinational model, expected cash flow in foreign currency. We need the expected exchange rate to convert to the domestic currency, which is this. If we discount back, we get the value there, right? So make sure practice this problem. It's very easy if you know the expected cash flows next year or in future. We have to be careful. Is it in our local currency, domestic currency, or is it in the foreign currency? If it's foreign currency, use the expected spot rate or expected exchange rate, convert it back to the local currency, and then discount. It's a very easy basic formula, just a very easy time value of money formula. If you have taken principal finance class, corporate finance class, even in our class, we did that, right? So make sure we know that. And also, interpret this one in terms of exchange rate fluctuations. When we expecting some cash flow from foreign currency, if the foreign currency appreciate versus depreciate, which one is good for us? Which one is bad for us? If we are supposed to receive some cash flow from, let's say, Mexico, we have investment in Mexico. We will generate some cash flow from Mexico 1 month from now. What is better? If Mexico appreciate or depreciate? Which one is better? One month from now, if Mexico exchange rate with US dollar appreciate, is it good for us? Or if Mexico exchange rate with US dollar depreciate, that is good for us.
If it appreciates, it would be good for us.
Why?
The same amount of money now that you're trying to exchange will be worth more in the other currency after that amount of time.
So let's say your answer is correct, but not the explanations. Let's say we're gonna get Mexican peso of $100. Let's say 1 month from now. Exchange rate could be, this is right now, could be, this one could be this one. Which one is a better situation for us doing business in US? Right now it's 50 cents. Let's say I would give $1.50 of Mexican peso. 1 month from now, we are supposed to receive 100 Mexican peso. Which one is better for us? This is what Mexican peso in terms of appreciation or depreciation. In terms of Mexican peso, not dollar. Dollar depreciate, right? In terms of Mexican peso, appreciate. Dollar appreciate, right? Mexican peso depreciate, right? Which one is good for us? If someone tell me they're gonna give us 100 Mexican peso 1 month from now, which one is good for us? Mexican peso appreciate because we're gonna receive more dollar, right? So if we are valuing any MNC, 2 factors we have to careful. If cash flow goes up and the foreign currency appreciate, for a fixed discount rate, valuation will be more. For a fixed discount rate, if cash flow goes down and the foreign currency depreciate, valuation will be less. So 2 things you need to understand from valuation. How to do the valuation? What is the impact of expected exchange rate in the valuation? Make sense? Sorry, I just in chapter 2. Okay. Okay. In chapter 2, we actually talked about balance of payment, right? It has 3 accounts: current account, capital account, and financial account. Know the definition. Okay. What is a current account? Think about some basic example, basic transactions that can affect these 3 accounts. Okay, we did it in the class. Current account has 3 different accounts, 3 different components. Payment for goods and services, which is you can think about international trade, right? Or balance of trade, right? Primary income payments. If you have any subsidiaries, if you have any foreign direct investments, as well as if you have any foreign portfolio investments, any income from that is a primary income. If you receive any aid, grants, single income, think about what Turkish and Syria is receiving right now. Aids and grants, help from different countries, right? Single income. So know the definition, think of some example that fits with the definition. Any kind of payment for exporting import goes here, right? Any kind of payment for investment in foreign countries could be foreign direct investments, could be foreign portfolio investments. Goes here. Any aid or grants goes here. Make sense? So far we learned that if you have any income for foreign direct investments or foreign portfolio investments, that is going to current account, right? But if you are making those investments, that goes to financial account. If you buy any subsidiary, if you establish any subsidiary, you have to make some investment today, right? That goes to financial account. Think about the definition and some example. Now, impact of outsourcing. What is an outsourcing? When you talk about outsourcing, that means we are paying for service from outside of the country, right? Most of the cases. Then what is that? We are paying for the service. That's going to affect our balance of trade. That's going to affect our current account, right? So think of impact of outsourcing on the current account and balance of. Okay. This is very important. Think about factors affecting international trade flows. If you can remember, we have gone through all of these and we are trying to think about how these factors affecting export and import, right? So if cost of labor is cheap in some countries and your business highly dependent on labor, what you're going to do? Pay for the labor for those countries, right? That's affect your balance of trade, current account. Make sense? If there is inflation in US, what does it mean? Price level increase in US, right? You may ask for more goods and services from outside of US, right? That affect your balance of trade, current account, right? National income. When you have more income, we prefer, we like to spend, right? We'll go outside to spend more, right? Think about all of these factors on impact of how it's affecting balance of trade, how it's affecting current account of positive and negative. So how government policies affect restrictions on imports, restrictions on exports. Sometimes they're trying to penalize some countries for political issues. How is affected, right? A couple of weeks before, we looked at Netherlands is not willing to sell chips to China, right? That was more of a political decision. That has an effect on the balance of trade. So you have to understand how those events is affecting export and import, subsequent balance of trade, subsequent balance. Okay. So exchange rate, how exchange rate affecting trade flows, right? We'll talk about this more in the last chapter, because in the last chapter we look at demand and supply and how it's affecting international trade, right? But sometimes government want to read the home currency, right? And it could not be fruitful or successful every other time. Why? Competition. Global MNCs can lower the price. Because if US think, okay, let's make US dollar cheap so that we can get a lot of export, they should not be successful all the time. Because why? Competition. Because why? Some other countries may do so, right? And the most important reason, all those trades are pre-arranged. They're pre-arranged maybe 3 or 6 months before. How many quantities going to be exported and imported? US with the home currency, what is the impact? Initially, all those pre-arranged export and imports for that. For exports, there's a bad impact. For imports, there's also a bad impact, and that's causing J-curve. So the idea is, if any country, any government want to weaken the home currency. In short term, balance of trade will further deteriorate. Why? Let me explain. Most of the trades are clearance, right? If we use the home currency for any kind of import, MNCs from US will need more dollar, right? Any kind of export, MNC in US will receive less dollars because now it's more cheap. So that's why more import, less export due to the currency weakening, right? So that's why balance of trade is going down in the short run. In the long run, export is cheap, import is expensive, right? MNCs in US will try to demand less import, and they will be able to more export because outsiders want more. In the long run, balance of trade going better. And that's why the curve looks like J, right? And it's called J curve effect. Makes sense? Why it's a J curve? Why it's a short run, it's a bad thing for us, then it's a good thing. Okay. Think about this graph. So far we talked about impact on time atom, right? But foreign people sometimes transfer funds, right? And also US people transfer funds to outside. What is the impact? So this curve is trying to tell you if this is our initial level of equilibrium. If we are here, if outsiders provide more funds in US, what is the impact? More supply. As a result, what's going on? Interest rate going down, right? As a result, what's going on? If the US economy has more supply, lower interest rate, they're able to make more investments, more economic activity. That means if there is no fund flows from outside countries, what is the outcome? Less supply of fund, interest rate should have been higher, less economic activity. At the same time, if I tell you, if this is not reality, rather people from US sending out more money to outside, supply curve moves to here, right? What is the outcome? Higher interest rate, lower amount of funds available for US, lower economic activity. If we summarize, when any country, let's say US, getting more flow of funds from outsiders, it has a positive impact. How? Lower interest rate, more fund for investments, more economic activity. On the other hand, if people in the US sends out their funds to outside, in US, higher interest rate, lower funds for investments, lower economic activity. Make sense? In short, any transfer of funds affect interest rate, economic activity for the home country. Questions? Any questions so far? Chapter 2 is really, really important, and try to read or think in terms of some real events. If we are doing some trades, some flow of funds with Canada, Mexico, what is the impact? Which one gonna go up, which one gonna go down, okay? Okay, 2.2. So know the difference between spot market, derivative market. What is the difference between spot market and derivative market? If you want to make some exchange currencies, what is the difference, spot versus derivative? No idea, spot versus derivative. Next week test is no cheat sheet, no math, no formula sheet, all from memory. Okay, let me give you some examples. So let's say I have $100. I want to exchange right now versus I want to exchange 1 month from right now in Mexican peso. What is the difference here? Like, can I do it spot market, derivative market, or what market I should go if I want to exchange right now versus if I want to exchange 1 month from now? Absolutely. So when we talk about spot market, we are agreeing on the price right now, and we're also making the transaction right now. Okay. But derivative market, agreeing on the price right now, making the transaction in future, right? So making transaction right now, transaction future. Right? Derivative market, we could have contract, right? If we have that side. Contract, we could have options. So I should know the definitions. There will be no problems regarding derivative market on the midterm one, because we are learning derivative market a lot after the midterm. Okay, but know the differences of definition. Forward, future, call, put. Who wants to explain the differential characteristics of these 4 different instruments? How they are different? First difference between contract and option. This is an obligation for both, right? This is not an obligation for both long and short. Right for long, obligation for short, right? Going here, how forward and future are different? 3 characteristics. Forward and future. It should be on the test. 3 characteristics, how forward and future are different. Move out. Speculation is the reason to go to derivative market. That's not the difference between forward and future. 3 characteristics.
Forward are traded with counter, future are trading exchange.
Absolutely. First difference. Forward versus future. First difference. forward future. Traded on the over-the-counter market, traded on the exchange. That's why customizable, not customizable. Third one, most important one. Risk. Which one has counterparty risk, which one do not? Forward has the counterparty risk because it's over the counter market. One party may not willing to complete the transaction, right? But future traded on the exchange, even if one party do not willing to trade, exchange will come in between and complete the transaction. So it has counterparty risk. Has not. Make sense? So both are contract. Options, call and put, traded on exchanges. It's a right for the one side. For call, it's a right to buy. For put, right to sell. Make sense? Any questions? So know the bid and ask rate, okay? It is always in terms of foreign currency, right? Financial institutions want to buy pound at this rate, want to sell pound at this rate, right? And always, always, always ask price should be more than the price. Why? Financial institutions bear cost to make those transactions, right? And they want to make it from you. That's why sell high, buy less. Make sense? Just understand. What is the bid, what is the ask, how it looks like, and what it should be. Think about those factors that will increase or decrease spread, right? If inventory is not available, like it's not a very liquid currency, more spread, right? If it takes a lot of money to make the transaction, other cost, more spread, right? The signs are there, you can interpret from here. Higher order cost, higher spread. Higher inventory cost, higher spread. Higher competition, lower spread. Higher volume of transaction, lower spread. Higher currency risk, higher spread. So understand the direct quotation, indirect quotation. Okay, do not need to memorize. The objective to understand the direct quotation, indirect quotation is to identify when currency appreciating, when currency depreciating. Okay, so by looking at quotations, you should be able to identify appreciation or depreciation. Make sense? So the rule of thumb is here. You can just follow to identify when it's appreciating, when it's depreciating. Just briefly go over like what does it mean by cross exchange rate. So when we are in US, we always want to express currency rate in terms of US. That is not a cross exchange rate. But if you want to see the exchange rate between two currencies other than US, this is cross exchange rate. Make sense? This is the cross exchange rate of Canadian dollar and Mexican peso, which we can convert from the relationship of US to Canadian dollar and US to Mexican peso. Just go through the definition. We covered that so far, Okay. In this chapter, we also learn different financial markets: money market, credit market, bond market, stock market, right? It's money market, bond market, credit market, stock market. Know the basic characteristics. What is the most distinguishable characteristic of money market or money market instruments? What is the most distinguishable?
It's worth very much needed.
Absolutely. So when you talk about money market instrument, maturity less than 1 year. Those are basically very short-term debt instruments. And as the maturity is less than a year, lower risk rate. Bond market, debt instrument mostly for longer term, right? Credit market, you can just think about the loan. If you go to the bank for an auto loan or real estate loan, it is the same thing. Mostly for 2 to 10 years, something like that. It's a loan market, but participated by international financial institutions. One of the important terms in credit market is syndicated loan. So what is syndicated loan? Any idea what is a syndicate? Yes, David.
They run more than one financial solution business.
Okay, so are they lending one borrower or multiple borrowers?
One borrower.
So why they are doing so? That's one of the point, but most important point is maybe one financial institutions are not able to bear the entire volume. Makes sense? They're asking for a bigger amount of money, which is not possible for one financial institutions to give that, so that they are syndicating, they are collaborating with multiple institutions to give this loan. And we all know stock market, right? So just know the basic characteristics of those different markets. And one of the things that is common when you talk about international money market, international credit market, international bond market, international stock market, what is common? Exchange rate risk. All these instruments have specific risk factors plus exchange rate risk, right? So just know the common characteristics of all these instruments and then add this one. Question so far? Let's see. Okay. I think we are, let's see. Okay. So one of the thing in the international bond market is called contagion effect. You can think about this word is coming from contagious. So when we say COVID is contagious, what does it mean? If I got COVID, okay, without mask and anything, what is the possibility if you're very close to me? You can get the COVID too, right? So when you say contagion effect or any kind of contagion risk, that means if any country is suffering from any crisis that is easily transferable to other countries. Let me explain why and how. Think about Turkey. They are one of the global participants for the international airline services. I really don't know right now how they are doing that right now, because I do check on the website. If you search for international travel, Turkish Airlines still pops up. I don't know how they're operating the flights, but if they are not able to operate the flights, that's a bad impact on their export and import stuff, right? Balance of trade. And that's the impact on the income level, right? On that case, if they have lower income due to an issues and risks in their country, they are also not able to participate in other international trade, right? Maybe they're demanding less export, less services. So contagion effect trying to say that if one country is suffering or any risk or any crisis, they will demand less export or less services or less import from other countries, from which will be transferable to the economy of other countries. That is called contagion effect. So we're good for chapter 3. Moving on, chapter 4. The easy way to prepare for chapter 4 is this graph. So who can explain what this graph is trying to tell us? Be specific, because one of the issues in international finance or foreign exchange market is there are always two parties. If you talk about currency, two countries are there, right? So be specific explanations, otherwise you will be stuck in the loop and will not find the right ways. Who can explain this graph? What this graph is trying to tell us?
All of the pounds increase.
We are not looking at change. We have one term at a time, right? We have one term only, right? We are not looking at any changes, which is next slide. Demand curve, right? What it is trying to tell us? Who is the demander? Who is demanding the currency? US, British, Europe, Germany. Who is demanding the currency? What currency they are demanding? Who is demanding the currency? Yes. US, what currency they are demanding? What foreign currency? Pound, right? So this graph is trying to tell demand for British pound by US people, right? Supply curve. Who is supplying what currency they're supplying? Pound, right? So this graph is trying to tell This is the demand for US people for British pound because they need British pound to pay for goods and services. This is the supply from British people because they're supplying pound to get dollars so that they can pay for US goods and services, right? And these two forces, when intersect, this is the equilibrium rate of exchange, equilibrium volume, right, for transaction, right? So you have to understand, you have to think about examples that gonna cause increase or decrease in demand, that gonna cause increase or decrease in supply. We have gone through a couple of examples in the class. Just understand when demand will go up. If US rely more on goods and services from people, demand will go up. If less, demand will go down, right? Think about examples, events that will move those curves. Now think about these 5 factors that affect demand and supply, right? You have to be very careful when you talk about those factors one at a time. Because if you combine multiple factors, you should not be able to define what's going on, right? Because if you talk about inflation in US means what? Costly goods and services will go to UK for goods and services. Inflation in UK, costly goods and services in UK, they will come here. One factor at a time will assume all else no change. Interest rate, income level, no change, right? So try to understand all of these factors which we did in class and how it is affecting demand and supply, exchange rate. Next slide. If you look here, this is an example for inflation in US. Goods and services more cost in US, right? What's going on? US people moving towards UK goods and services, right? Demand curve goes up or on the right side. But UK people do not prefer US goods and services, reducing the supply. Spot rate goes up. Make sense? Questions? But what do you think? Is this an appreciation or depreciation if the spot rate goes up? Appreciation, depreciation. Appreciation for and depreciation for US dollar, right? So understand 3 things. For any impact, how demand and supply are affecting, how spot rate are affecting, and whether the appreciation, depreciation for each one. Make sense? Inflation, interest rate, income level, government policies, all these things, it's on the slide. All these things on the slide. You have to understand, due to this event, whether US people or UK people demand more or less, supply more or less, how the curve gonna move, how the exchange rate gonna move, and which currencies are appreciating, which currencies are appreciating. How the curve gonna move, how the spot rate gonna move, who one is appreciating, who one is depreciating. Okay, so go over all these factors, okay? So starting from here, inflation, interest rate, how the curve is changing, how the rate is changing. So go over all of these things. Now think about This example we did on the last class. Last class or no, not last class, the class before last class, right? If financial institutions have an expectation, right? They can borrow from one country, invest in other country just to make money based on the speculation. So we actually use the example of New Zealand and US, right? We can either borrow from US and New Zealand and invest on the other country to make more money. And the key steps, you always borrow from the country that is about to depreciate. You always invest in the country that is about to appreciate, right? So from the problem, from the example, you have to identify which country's currency going to appreciate, which one going to depreciate. Borrow from the depreciated borrowing rate, invest in the appreciated country, the lending rate, and then find out what is the speculative profit. Exactly what we did the class before last class. Make sense? Finally, carry trade. This is basically a way of playing with interest rate differentials, right? If you can borrow less from US, invest more in UK, you can borrow from US, invest in UK, right? And then you can make money. If the exchange rate between US and UK stays the same, no problem. Exchange rate in UK appreciate, good for you. But exchange rate in UK depreciate, that is the only one risk factors. So institutions always do carry trades because they want to make money from these interest rate differentials. But the one risk factor, if the country that the institution is investing, the currency depreciate, there could be situations or outcomes you are not able to other losses. Questions? Easy way, get prepared. You can follow those topics if you want. And second thing, think about an example, an effect. If that happens, what's gonna the effect on the balance of trade, current account, exchange rate, demand and supply of currencies, and what should be the impact on exchange rate appreciation versus depreciation? Make sense? Let's see, did I miss anything? I don't think so. Questions so far? We have office hours today 3 to 5, and also on Monday, you can find me early morning or very late afternoon 3 to 5 if you have any questions, confusions, or you're struggling. Okay. If not, I'll see you all next Thursday. Good luck for your book. I present today.